bring in Louis Riddick. He was on the call for the Cowboys win over the Eagles, and he'll once again be alongside Steve Levy, Brian Greasy. First ever Monday night wildcard game, Cardinals-Rams, kick off a week from today at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN, ABC, and ESPN. Do you want to start with the firings here? Nagy in Chicago. You got Mike Zimmer getting fired, Vic Fangio. Out of those three jobs, which one is the most attractive?
Wow, man. I think Chicago, obviously, because they have a young quarterback in place, that everyone will say, okay, well, look, I mean, every coach, right, Dan, you know this, they go into situations going, well, I'm going to be the one who builds it from the ground up, and I'm going to be the savior. I'm going to be the next hot thing. I'm going to be the guy. Well, I mean, and most times they connect that with having a young quarterback who they feel as though they can take to the kind of levels that really are, commensurate with being a championship caliber football team. And I think a lot of people look at Justin Fields like that. I think the issue in Chicago will be, how do they revamp the front office? Do they revamp the front office, starting from like the level right below ownership on down, and do they stock it with football people, so to speak? Although I don't like necessarily using that term. Let me just put it this way, that people who really do understand what coaches need in order to be successful, what front offices need to be successful. Do they do that? If they do that, I think everybody will be lining up at the door to try and get that job. Minnesota is stocked. I heard what you were just saying. This is a good football team. That's some really good players. They have a system in place there in terms of the style of players that they've acquired. On the offense, it's a zone running team, real good running back, all world young wide receiver, a quarterback who can play winning caliber football. But you're right, there's going to be some people who go, but can Kirk really be that guy, that postseason guy that can allow me to win games at the highest level, which is ultimately what coaches need to do. Defensively, they got banged up this year, but they still have people who can rush the passer. They got they got fast, aggressive linebackers. They need to revamp the secondary. That's probably right there. That's probably job number two. The third one, being Denver right now, the issue there is they have no quarterback, zero. Winning caliber defense, still need to continue to build out the offense, but no quarterback at all. But in a great city, a team that right now is undergoing, obviously, some changes at the ownership level, which will scare off some people too, because you just don't know how that's going to transition. But I think that's how I would stack them: Chicago, Minnesota, Denver, in terms of coaches who probably are looking for a situation where they can really build it from the ground up. That's how I would probably prioritize.
And then you throw the Giants in there, and maybe they stay with Joe Judge. I mean, I'm not here to lobby for somebody to be fired, but if you're going to replace the GM, it just feels like that coach could be in a tenuous situation there. And I wonder, Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Gettleman, your GM, Joe Judge, it feels like that might be one big broom that you use there with the Giants. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I've always thought, Dan, that's the way you should go. When you're doing those kind of things, when you're trying to reset an organization and you're trying to get your football operation back on track, it's really hard to discern, okay, well, whose fault was it that I need to now make a change? Was it the coach? Was it the GM? Was it the scouts? Was it the offensive coordinator? Was it the special team? Like, what's going on? It's hard, man. And see, right now, everyone, excuse my language here, but everyone's in ass covering mode right now. So the GM is going to point to the coach. Coach is going to point to the GM. Coach is going to point to offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator is going to point to the defensive coordinator. And you know what? That, to me, is how you erode culture. That's how you erode the concept of team. And honestly, when you're resetting a place, you should reset the whole thing and say, this GM and this coach, you guys are together. Because when it comes to building out a football operation, Dan, look, that it's about scouting and evaluation. Then it's about acquiring that talent, valuing that talent and acquiring it. And then it's about development and utilization. And all three of those things, when you're building a football operation, the head coach and the GM have to be like this. So how can you separate it out then and go, well, It's the GM's fault, but the coach is not at fault? Or it's the coach's fault, but it's not the GM's fault? That's a loser's proposition to me. And I think they should go, as painful as it would be for the Maras and the Tisches to do that again, is probably what they need to do.
We're talking to Louis Riddick of the Mothership. He, of course, an analyst for Monday Night Football. Brian Flores just got fired as the Dolphins head coach.
Oh, wow. Man, things are happening fast, man. While I'm sitting here talking, I'm a big fan of Brian Flores, and I'm a big fan of his. And I got to know him a little bit this year. We got to do, their game just a couple of weeks ago down in New Orleans.
They
Wow,
seem promising, but I as I mentioned about 15 minutes ago, Lewis, I was told that if Jim Harbaugh, the Raiders would have interest, but the Dolphins would be the other team, not the Bears.
Yeah.
And that's what I wonder. Now, I don't have any information other than a source said to me yesterday. Everybody keeps talking about Jim maybe leaving to go to the Raiders. Keep an eye on the Dolphins. Well, I'm watching the Dolphins play, and they're beating the Patriots, and I thought, they had a great second half here.
Yep.
Waddle was great. You got to decide on Tua.
Yep.
I don't know.
See, this is where it doesn't really become objective at this point. Now it just becomes about subjective and personal desires, wishes, feelings, wants of the owner. That's really what it comes down to. And owners, look, they own. Coaches coach, players play. And when owners own, they can do whatever the heck they want. And if they have personal feelings and personal desires to work with certain individuals, they don't have to, well, quite honestly, they don't have to justify it to anybody.
But you don't fire unless you know who you're going to hire, I think, right? Does that...
You know what? Yeah, you would say that, I think in the perfect world, yeah. But I don't think, quite honestly, I don't think a lot of owners really think that way anymore because, yeah, they may know who they're going to hire or who they're going to try and go after.
Yeah. But
I don't always think that they really think this stuff out really rationally, man. I think a lot of this really happens emotionally. And I think, as human beings, we know that sometimes it just becomes personal. It's just about, look, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go this direction. And if you write the checks and you own the team, you can do that. And we know that Stephen Ross has a connection, obviously, as being a Michigan alum with Coach Harbaugh. I mean, that's easy. That's an easy connection to make. And he can throw at him whatever money he needs to throw at him and give him total control of everything. Yeah. So I'm assuming right now, as we're sitting here talking, Chris Greer still employed, the general manager?
I think so, as of right now. Ryan Pace was fired as the GM with the Bears 2 minutes ago.
See, there we go, man. Yeah. See that? You know what, though? But that's what they needed to do. So now I do believe that becomes job number one that people would want. Now, we don't know what's happening with Ted Phillips, who's also there in the front office. But I think that becomes job number one because of Justin Fields. And down there in Miami, look, you'll find people who like Tua, some people who don't. Some people will want to know, well, what's going to be the plan as far as that's concerned? Are you guys really in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes?
Do you like Tua? Do you like Tua?
Well, yeah, I do.
If you were the GM of the Dolphins, you'd keep Tua.
I would right now. Yeah, that would be my plan right now, for sure.
But if you could get Deshaun Watson.
You know what? I don't know, Dan. Look, there's a lot about that's non-football related that for me, look, I just can't brush off and go, well, I'm just going to think about this from a football perspective and ignore all that other stuff. You're going down like an avenue there that has so much unknown. And I'm just not one of those guys who really believes that you can just sell your soul just for, to try and win football games and kind of just put on the back burner all those other things. I've never been like that.
Yeah.
Even in all my years in front office, man, I used to have some real heated arguments with people about the character of certain individuals as it relates to their football ability and whether or not they were good fits for what we were trying to do. So we'll see.
I want to book you for next season, the Monday after the final regular season game, 9:20 Eastern, and then I'll just tell you all the firings in real time.
There you go. This has been fun, man. I mean, you're breaking news left and right.
I was going to have you on to talk to you about the Chargers strategy here, but
yeah,
full disclosure here, I have a problem that the Raiders thought about taking a knee and a tie with a divisional opponent. Like I don't have any problem with Brandon Staley calling a timeout to change his personnel because I'm thinking you want to beat us, not hey. Let's just kumbaya, man. Handshake, tie.
I agree with you there. I agree. The more I think about it, the more when I heard his explanation as to what he was trying to do, I get it. He was trying to win the game. If you want to have a problem with Brandon, then you should probably rewind the tape and go back to some other situations, maybe like going for it on fourth down, backed up in your own territory, inside your own 20. I mean, maybe you want to get mad at him for that.
Yeah.
And plenty of people are.
Yeah. And I can have a problem with that.
At the end.
But don't you want a coach who believes in you? Now,
Sure.
you might say he doesn't believe in his defense, therefore he's always going for it with his offense. But
Yeah.
it feels like Brandon Staley has rubbed the old school the wrong way. Like he's
There's no
bringing
doubt.
in analytics and, hey, we don't need that kind of stuff. We have too much of it in baseball.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Look, this has become something that has become highly emotional, and it's become an us versus them type of thing, which is kind of ridiculous because really there is a sweet spot in the middle where data is your friend and it can help you, and you do need to be forward thinking. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt, and it's not just in in-game decision making; it's in terms of kind of structuring your whole football operation. Data is powerful. It's a very useful tool. But man, people have really picked sides. He seems to be the poster boy, like for being the whipping boy as far as this is concerned right now.
Yeah, I know. Who should make a change in the quarterbacking position, the Colts or the Browns?
The Colts can't, although they should, but they can't. The Browns, you know what? I would ride with this fifth-year option with Baker right now. I would, until I see what my next best alternative is. I don't think either. Look, the Colts can't make a change, so they're stuck. But with the Browns, I would hold tight right now because you've got him next year for just under $19 million, or for this year, and now that we're in 2022. And then you just see how this goes in the offseason and whether or not you can upgrade the position.
Great appearance, Lewis.
Hey, I appreciate it. This has been good. I mean, it's fast and furious this morning, man. Fast and furious.
Thank you, buddy. Tell Leaves and Brian we said hello and have fun next Monday night. Cardinals Rams on ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus. Thank you, Lewis.
You bet. Thank you.
That's Lewis Riddick, ESPN Monday Night Football analyst, former NFL player, and of course the mothership will have the wild card game between the Cardinals and the Rams.